Welcome back, everybody, to Death Holler. I'm your host, Reverend Dr. Death. Joining me, as always, is my co-host, La Urena, and we're discussing this part of the episode is about Freaky from 2020. Tagline, basic switch, killer new look.
That's a good one.
Directed by Christopher Landon, who also directed the Happy Death Day series. Written by Michael Kennedy and Christopher Landon. Music by Bear McCreary. Budget of $6 million and made $18.1 million. That is a good turnaround, but just remember this was in 2020 with all the shutdowns and stuff.
Oh,
so
yeah.
I guarantee that this movie would have made a lot more if it hadn't been for what happened.
That is true. But you know what? It did pretty good considering that I hate to do spoils, but I kind of enjoyed Tucker and Dale better than this film. That doesn't mean it's going to do better in the box office, but it's surprisingly how much better this one did, even given a pandemic. And poor Tucker and Dale were just left in the woods and forgotten.
That's exactly. They just, I feel like that's why it's criminally underrated. Like Tucker and Dale's like one of those movies that always is a crowd pleaser. But when you ask people, it's like, I don't know what you're talking about. And it's like, oh, we got to correct this. You got to see this movie, Principal players in this one, Vince Vaughn plays the Blissfield Butcher. But due to the nature of the movie, it's both the final girl and the slasher. And of course, again, our link to Tucker and Dale is the fact that Vince Vaughn was in Dodgeball with Alan Tudyk. So he was also in Wedding Crashers, Old School, played a very good dramatic turn in Hacksaw Ridge and True Detective. I was talking to a coworker the other day, I think it was Emilia, and she was telling me about how she felt like Vince Vaughn always played the same character in movies, kind of that sarcastic humor that he has, like when he played in Fred Claus and that sort of thing. And I agree to an extent, but if you've ever watched Hacksaw Ridge or Brawl in Cell Block 99 and see his dramatic turns, he is a good dramatic actor.
Yeah.
He really is. And the best thing about Psycho 1998 is nothing. It should have fell back into the, pits of hell where it belonged. But he's grown as an actor since then, so we won't hold that against him.
Yeah. Hey, you got to have your, you can't be good at you can't be perfect in every film.
He's also politically, I enjoy him because I'm, from what I understand, he leans very heavily toward libertarian ideals.
Okay.
So that's pretty cool. And he's very tall. Like, I don't know if you knew this, but he's like 6'5" or something ridiculous. Like he's no wonder he looks so crazy, like a giant in this movie versus all the other actors. And actresses.
When I was watching him it was from behind, he had the mask on. It was at the beginning of the film. I was like, he has the perfect, like almost Jason Voorhees, but slasher type body.
He has a slasher build. It surprised me that it's taken this long for him to be a slasher in a movie.
Yeah.
Honestly. If it wasn't for the fact that he does so well at the comedic parts of the movie too, I mean, he can pull off a hulking, like scary individual pretty well, actually.
But he can also pull off a teenage girl.
Very, very convincingly in a scary way when we get to that part of it. Whew. Catherine Newton plays Millie Kessler, the slasher / final girl, due to the nature of the movie again. She's going to be in a lot of upcoming Marvel movies because she plays Ant-Man or Paul Rudd's daughter, and there's a good chance, everybody, that Paul Rudd's character is going to die or be, taken out of the MCU in Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania. So just be prepared for that. I mean, we all love Paul Rudd, and I don't know what it is with Marvel and their hatred for, males, in particular white males, but if they had the chance of replacing him with Catherine Newton's character, they're going to do it. That's what they're going to do. That's what they've been doing.
No. I mean, I know that their contracts expire, and I respect that because maybe they, like the actors, if they get tired of playing the character, then that makes sense because it's got to get tedious after a while. Same shit, different day, maybe feeling. It's a good paycheck, though. Now, on the contrary, if they are enjoying what they are doing and they are enjoying getting that repetitive paycheck and they're doing amazing as a character, and the fact that Paul Rudd doesn't fucking age, it's like, what are we doing? I don't know.
Yeah, Paul Rudd and Elizabeth Banks. I mean, I don't know what kind of thing they got into during the filming of Wet Hot American Summer, but they both stopped aging right around the time they made that movie. So there you go. She was also in Detective Pikachu, Cock Blockers, although it's not called that. If you just look it up, it's called Blockers with the chicken, in front of it. Paranormal Activity 4. We all know her from Supernatural because she played Claire Novak, Castiel's daughter in the series. Jimmy Novak's daughter.
Jimmy, I was about to say, I think it's Jimmy Novak's daughter, but still, fucking, I didn't like her in Supernatural.
Well, I'll be honest with you. I don't feel like she's that strong of an actress even in this movie. I mean, I know that's jumping the gun, but like, she didn't really have a personality as Millie until the end of the movie. I didn't feel like.
Well, she had to go through some shit. I'm going to give her that. She had to go through some shit to realize, holy fuck, because she specifically said, I've never felt so strong than being in this huge body. Yeah, and that's legit. That's a real thing,
Yeah, she was pretty bullied and kind of timid and stuff. I mean, that plays into it. The problem is that I feel like the way the movie sets it up, and I know this is getting ahead into the review slightly, but I mean, it needs to be brought up. She plays a decent killer in the movie. I'll give her that. Like, the cold, steely killer doesn't really have much personality either, but like, she doesn't have to for that role. The problem is they don't give her a whole lot to actually play off of as Millie before the transformation. And then Vince Vaughn, when he takes the character over, he has his own personality, because he's one of those people that's charismatic too. Like his own, like he's out there, with it. And like, I feel like you see more of her personality come to the forefront while he's playing the character. And then when it comes back to her, she doesn't have enough time at the end of the movie to really settle back into the role. So it's kind of like she's robbed of that development a little bit.
Big time.
Celeste O'Connor plays Nala Chonis.
Chonies. I just said chonies.
Whatever. That's Millie's BFF. She was in Ghostbusters Afterlife, and they didn't show her as being in the new Ghostbusters movie, so I don't know what plot thread or why that's leaving, because she played like kind of the girlfriend of Finn Wolfhard in Ghostbusters Afterlife. So I don't know, maybe, they're moving it to New York again, so maybe she just drops out of the picture and it's Finn again and like by himself or whatever. I don't know what they're doing there. Misha Oshervik plays Josh Detmer, Millie's gay BFF. What can you, is there another way to say it? I mean, he plays like a stereotypical gay character in this. I hate to say it, but he does. He was in Nosferatu TV series.
Oh, okay.
The one that's, by Stephen King's son or whatever.
I need to finish watching that. We only watched like 1 or 2 episodes, and I did not go further.
Same. But I feel like it's one of those things. It was such a slow burn that I'm like, I feel like I was wasting my time to stay with it.
La Urena was having the troubles.
I was having the troubles, so I can definitely see where you were having it. Katie Finneran plays Coral Kessler, Millie's mom. Dana Drury plays Charlene Kessler. She goes by Char in the movie. Police officer, Millie's sister. The teens that are killed during the intro is Nicholas Stargell playing Isaac, Emily Holder playing Sandra, Mitchell Hoog playing Evan, and then Kelly Lamar Wilson playing Jenny. Which is funny. That has to be a reference back to Jenny from Friday the 13th Part 2. Like it has to be. It's the same spelling of the name. Melissa Colazzo plays Ryler, who's the bully mean girl in the film. Alan Ruck plays Mr. Bernardi. He's the woodshop teacher, asshole. Everybody knows him from Ferris Bueller's Day Off. He plays Cameron in that. He was also in Spin City, Twister, Speed, and The Happening, of all things. God-awful movie. The wannabe rapist / bully jocks are Tim Johnson, who plays Squee, Carter Glade, who plays Tobin, and Ezra Miller, Sexton, who plays Brett. It's Ezra Sexton, but... and
I was about to say, I didn't catch
plays
that.
Phil the Jock. What?
No.
What?
I was about to say I didn't catch that Ezra Miller in there, but then never mind. I get it now.
Yeah, well, I gotta make a joke at his expense.
That was an icky scene. Like, that scene was effective because, like, knowing what they were wanting to do was just, I was like,
yeah, he outright told her, he's like, you've got 3 holes, there's 3 of us.
Yeah.
You know what's going to happen. That's exactly how he says it.
Yeah, I was like, well, okay, this is going to be the one time we're rooting for the killer right now.
Yeah, they definitely deserved every death they had, and especially the fact they were sawed in their privates with a chainsaw. That very well deserved. Synopsis: urban legend has it that every year the town of Blissfield is visited by a homicidal maniac during homecoming. Millie Kessler, a timid and bullied teenager, would have been his next victim, but things get a little freaky on Friday the 13th, and the two end up swapping souls with one another. Funky shit happens when you use mystical Aztec daggers to do your killing. Mean bitches get frozen, woodshop becomes a splitting headache for one unlucky teacher, and chainsaws are used in ways that would make Leatherface proud. This body swap cuts deep. Body count in this movie is 11, so not too shabby.
Yeah.
I mean, just too shy of Tucker and Dale. We got Isaac with a broken bottle inside the throat.
That was insane. I was
That's
like,
a great
yes.
scene. I mean, you can't fault this movie for the kills. This movie has some good inventive kills in it.
Yeah.
Although I did read the bottle being broken inside of a throat has been in a few other movies besides this. But they do it effectively in this.
And this was my first time catching one, so well done.
Sandra gets her head crushed with a toilet lid. Evan gets stabbed in the head with a broken tennis racket. And Jenny is impaled on a spear in the wall. Ryler gets frozen to death in a cryo chamber. Mr. Bernardi gets sawed in half vertically with a table saw.
He had to be the inspiration.
He
had to be the inspiration.
What's that?
For, God, why can't I think of it right now? The clown, Art the Clown.
Oh, I think Art the Clown came out before that, though.
You think? Oh, did it? Oh, shit.
Yeah, the original movie. Yeah, the one where he saws the girl in half or whatever.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it came out before that.
I didn't know.
Oh, we'll cover Art. He's inventive with his kills, if nothing else.
Yeah.
I think they're a little too graphic, but that's just me. Tobin gets decapitated off screen. Brett gets crotch mulched with a chainsaw off screen. Phil gets stabbed in the eye with a sickle. And then the Blissfield butcher himself gets stabbed through the back with a chair leg to finish off the movie. Quotes for this movie: the Blissfield butcher, as being played by Millie at this point, whispering in the ear of the jock who just grabbed her ass, "Your touch makes my pussy as dry as sandpaper, you fucking monkey. I can't wait to kill you." One of the best lines in the fucking movie. And the way Catherine Newton did deliver this line perfectly. Yes. Great line. Running away from Millie and the body of the Blissfield butcher, Josh, let's see. Well, Josh just says, "You're black, I'm gay, we're so dead," or whatever.
He's not lying.
No, in most movies he would have been right. Ryler's line, "I'm not here to clam jam with you, Millie."
That was, oh my God.
Because the Blissfield butcher in that body is giving off heavy lesbianic vibes at that moment in time.
Extra rapey is what was happening.
Yeah. Although, to give the Blissfield butcher his due, when he was in Millie's body, he did know how to dress better than she did.
Way better. Oh my God, makeup was on point too. even her friend, her gay friend Josh, was like, "Does she look cute?"
Yeah, there's I don't know what that says about the Blissfield butcher, that he knows, how to apply makeup that well. But I mean, there's a lot of sexual repression going on in his situation.
For sure, Z's.
Jenny, don't underestimate a straight white man's propensity for violence, Isaac. I don't care how fucking old they are. They had to throw that line in there. It's laughable, but at the same time, it's cringe. It's Deputy Jim Hayworth, suspects fleeing the high school in a shit heap.
Oh, yeah.
When they're driving off in Josh's car.
That was hilarious.
Millie is the Blissfield butcher. I smell like hot dog water.
I was dead.
Yeah, she's just like, "I smell like hot dog water."
That's gross, because I could smell it. Like, it gave a good, not visual, but I don't know, nasal.
I'm glad that she made Vince Vaughn take a bath. That's all I'm going to
Yes,
say.
that was funny.
Or
But she did put those clothes back on, though.
Also, Millie is the Blissfield Butcher. She's flopping it around in the bathroom.
Oh, yeah.
You got to see this. It's like a floppy anteater.
And the noises. Why? With the sound effects.
Yeah, it was pretty graphic. Josh's mom, Joshua, you are many things, but straight is not one of them.
That was funny. I was wondering if she was going to fall for it. I was wondering if they're going to make it seem like she was happy that he was straight. And she was like, nope, I'm not falling for this shit.
She's like, I know my son and this is not right. And then Millie at the end of the movie, I am a fucking piece.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Movie discussion. Visually, I'm just going to throw it out there. The movie looks great.
Yes.
I mean, bright, vivid colors, very good use, like we was talking about, of the lighting. Especially the scenes where Millie is waiting for her deadbeat mom, who's the drunk or whatever, to show up to pick her up from homecoming, and she stares across the way and sees Blissfield Butcher in kind of like the hazy mist or whatever, perfectly, filmed. It looks great. And in that scene with the cryo chamber too, the way that girl's eyes look like glassed over because of the ice on them. Oh, it's so good. It looks great. I mean, is there anything in the movie you can just visually, it's a great movie. I
will say there was something that irked me, and I don't know why, and maybe you can sway my thoughts on this. I did not like the stab with LaDonna. I didn't feel like it was effective. It felt like it was a dull blade, which is fine, but it only went in so far. It didn't feel like they really put their all into it. It looked fake.
Yeah, I'll agree with you to an extent, but I think there's a reason for it. So it does look like in the movie that it's a pulled punch, if you want to say it that way, that it looks like he only half-heartedly, stabbed her, whereas in a normal movie, that would have been a very visceral, feeling, you would have seen her whole body shake from it and all this other stuff.
Yeah.
But at the same time, the way they portray the knife in the movie is as soon as he does that, he feels the pain from her. So it's almost like they're giving the reason why he pulled his punch, because right whenever he stabs her, he feels the pain instead. And so he's pulling the punch because he's trying to save himself from the pain.
Yes, and I get that. I just don't. They didn't showcase that very well, I don't think.
It's super quick. That's the problem with it. It's a quick cut. It's almost like, they used to make fun of the MTV style editing, which House on Haunted Hill that we reviewed, or I guess 13 Ghosts is even worse, where it's those real quick, almost give you seizures type, cuts or whatever.
Yeah.
They had that during, no other part of the movie was like that except for that one scene with a knife. And it was just they were trying to do too much in that scene, because not only were they showing him stabbing her and then the quick pull away, but they also did the quick cuts, that cool as shit looking Aztec temple with the person getting sacrificed and under a bloody moon or whatever it was. It was a cool scene, but it cut too much away from the scene of him stabbing her.
Yeah, so visually, other than that, everything looked really, really good. That was just the one thing that I was like, I'm not liking this. But, I didn't hate it, so.
That scene where he breaks the bottle inside that guy's neck.
God.
That was so visceral,
that
so
was
well
so
done.
Cool, yeah. They did an amazing job with that.
Story, it's a neat twist on the Freaky Friday movies.
Yeah.
It really is. If Tucker and Dale's a good twist on the hillbilly trope, this is a good twist on basically the Freaky Friday trope. Because how many times have they remade those movies now?
God.
And I saw recently while researching this that Jamie Lee Curtis is talking again about doing another Freaky Friday sequel with Lindsay Lohan.
Oh, that would be awesome. Lindsay Lohan needs to make a comeback. She seems to be doing so well. I watched her terrible Christmas love story film, but I wouldn't say terrible because of her. She really did make that film, but I wouldn't say make it. As an actress, she, made it as great as it was, because I love cheesy Christmas love stories. And I was just so excited to see her back in the film thing. So
she's got an interesting paranormal / human horror movie that we might need to cover next when we do human horror. It's got this weird twist where she keeps seeing herself being killed, and she's trying to solve her own murder.
Ooh.
But there's a twist to it. It's not the best movie ever, but the plot is interesting. I'll put it that way.
What the twist?
let's see, acting in the movie. That's where I think we're going to have our biggest discussion. Vince Vaughn knocks it out of the park in both roles.
Oh yeah, he does.
Catherine Newton, however, it's taken me multiple times. I've watched this movie, I think 3 or 4 times now, counting the times that I watched it for like HHN last year because it was going to be a house.
Oh yeah.
And she's grown on me, but she is it's very subtle. Her acting is in this movie. And I don't mean that in a good way. I feel like Vince Vaughn totally steals the scenes that, and then she's kind of left way off to the side.
Yeah, it is. And I don't like how when she first gets in the body, it looks like he's just an evil entity. It doesn't seem like he's an actual person. And she's just like, friends, school. And it's just, I'm like, okay, like it was too much. I know that because now she's currently a man in that body. She's trying to bring forth his character. I don't think it worked very well. It was just like, oh, he can talk. Whereas at the end of the film, he is talking. He is using full sentences. Yeah,
so, that's the weird thing about the movie too that I was going to bring up, and I'm glad you mentioned it. It's like when you first see the butcher, he's just like a silent Jason-like killer.
Mm-hmm.
Very effective, but I mean that's what he does. And then like her first portrayal of him is that she starts out that way, just a few like words here and there. But then there's that scene halfway through when they've got her tied up, and she's supposed to be the butcher, and she starts saying, "No, I'm not. That's the killer.
Yeah.
I'm Millie." And I'm sitting there, I'm like, the butcher's never shown that he ever. I mean, now granted, in the where you're at in the story, because he doesn't have his strength and his size anymore, he has to result in like using her own, benefits, which is, her looks and her, the fact that most people believes her, being the, put upon girls versus the big nasty man or whatever. But it speaks to an intelligence the character is never shown to that point.
Yeah. I am going to throw out, I absolutely loved the fact that she was getting her world wrecked because she did not have the strength of Vince Vaughn's body.
Yeah, that was pretty fun to watch.
Yeah, that was the best thing you could do in that film.
Slammed up against walls, and
she was getting fucked up. I was like, oh, I love this, because you kind of think that she's just going to be this badass killer. No, you don't have the strength that you used to. So I thought that was hilarious.
They show multiple times that Millie in Vince Vaughn's body is like, she's got a strength she never, obviously never had before, because like she tries to, like one time when Josh comes running up to her with the soup ladle or whatever it is, and like tries to hit her, and she's just like, stop, and like she pushes him, but like she doesn't realize her own strength, because when she does, it like slams him against the wall, and
she's like, I'm strong.
Shit,
Yeah.
I mean, those are neat things. It's just that I wish there would have been a scene that would have shown Vince Vaughn being that smart or talking in some way, shape, or form prior, because just like how I don't like the fact that Catherine Newton's character doesn't really show much of her personality until after she's, supposedly been in Vince Vaughn's body. It's kind of, I feel like it does both of them a disservice at some point in the movie.
One thing that that Millie did well is, well, I guess as the butcher, is when she's at the school and she sees her body, which is Vince Vaughn, and she's like, oh shit, that's the other person. She wants to keep this body, obviously, because it's way to her benefit. And she overacts the part as a scared girl. So she already has the voice of the girl. She already has the body of a girl. She already has the looks of the girl. But it's Vince Vaughn pretending to be a girl in her body. So it's like her, help. And her voice changes to even girlier than what it normally is. It's just real cheesy girl. Like a girl who was actually scared wouldn't sound like that. She was being dramatic.
That's a good point to her benefit. And that's one of the reasons why it's taken me several times to get, used to her character in this movie, because it's little things like that where she's, even though she is a girl and she's playing somebody who is, who's a man, and, so like she's playing up, it's a little subtle thing, but she's playing up like, how cheesy it is. It's like, oh my God, this is a killer, like and everybody of course takes her word for it because, she's I mean, that's what they would do in that case.
Absolutely. It was hilarious. Because I'm trying to think, if it was Millie, it would have been her screaming like a goddamn maniac, oh my God, it's him. But this was like, oh my, help me. And it's like, oh, shut up.
And but there's little things like that upon multiple views, I have grown to like her portrayal a little bit more each time. It's still not my favorite.
Yes.
Like, I mean, it's, and I still feel like she gets really hurt by the fact that Vince Vaughn outshines her in both roles.
It's hard to deny that the pretty princess in this film is Vince Vaughn.
And the funny thing is too, is that it's not the director's fault, because when we watch Happy Death Day, I will tell you straight up that Tree in that movie is my favorite final girl in probably any movie, just because she starts out as, like I've said before, she's such a rotten person.
Yeah.
But like the character growth is there to make her a person that you root for through the course of the movie. And he worked with that actress and he got that out of her. So I don't know. I just don't feel like the times that we've seen her as Claire Novak and the times I've seen her in this, I don't feel like Catherine Newton. I mean, she's getting better, but she's still not like a top tier actress by any means.
Yeah, I don't know that she's gonna be. She's trying, but it's not. It's not happening.
She's a little too passive, I feel like, in the role. She doesn't really come across as there's not enough personality there to really sell what she's trying to accomplish in a lot of these roles.
Yeah.
Music in this, music was fairly good in this one. I mean, it was, especially like that dramatic music that they had whenever the La Dola was being used, and it like showed the Aztec temple and all that stuff. It was a little bit cringe at the end though, where she said, "I'm a piece," and then it started kicking to that like pop, like princess, rah female power music or whatever. But
I thought the music was appropriate. Nothing more, nothing less. Yeah. Nothing more, nothing less. I didn't really notice it. Like you said, with the Ladola. Did I say it? I said Ladola, Ladora, Ladona.
Ladora the Explorer. Yeah.
I am all over the place here. Of course it was appropriate for that. So, and then of course scary scenes, it had good tension music. So I noticed that. And then I think the teeny bopper music was also effective because it was so fucking cheesy. It's bringing up a time in a person's life, high school. And it was cheerful, but at the same time, there's an ominous feeling around. So,
yeah, I don't know that the movie really sells the horror that much. Like, I feel like they did a really good job in like when Vince Vaughn is just the butcher at the beginning, and the scenes where him and Millie first interact, like I said, where she's seeing him across the the way or whatever while she's waiting for her mom. But after that, like the humor just drastically overtakes like any horror in the movie. I mean, that's not a bad thing. It's just, but that's it doesn't really balance the horror along with the humor that well.
Would you want to know why he's the Blissfield Butcher? Because there was no backstory to him whatsoever.
No, because I feel like that's one of the faults of like modern horror movies is they try to give too much background to some of these killers, and like sometimes it's better to. It's like I say about like kills sometimes in movies. Like if there's like that kill in Friday Part 6, where the one girl who would have been a final girl in any other movie, the one that was trying to take care of the female camper, it just gets exploded by Jason. We don't even know what he did, but like whenever you see the room and it's just filled with the pieces or body and like blood everywhere, that's like my mind just feels in so much worse than if they would have showed that scene. Like, so it's just like, and like these killers, I think whenever their motivation's unknown, like it's more interesting to me than like if they went back and they'd shown him he was bullied as a kid or whatever, and Homecoming, he might've got like swirlied and pantsed or something. And, cause it has something to do with Homecoming. So, I mean, in your own mind, you can create whatever happened at Homecoming that caused him to be that way. I mean,
he's after those crazy teenagers doing willy-nilly shit.
I mean, it could be as bad. I don't know if you ever saw that movie or that show, 13 Reasons Why. They did like a second season of that. And like one of the characters, I can't remember if it's in the first or second, but basically he gets bad stuff happen to him with a broomstick. That's all I'm going to say. And then like I could imagine the Blissfield Butcher maybe had that happen to him one time in Homecoming, and that's why he started killing people.
Dang. One more thing. When you see the Blissfield Butcher's killer lair, did you get Texas Chainsaw Massacre vibes?
Very much. And there's also a lot of, I mean, not only was he experimenting on stuff, but there was a lot of like feminine experimentation, which goes, you know, like if you look, there's a lot of like makeup, you know, like on the faces and stuff, hitting, again, he's got some kind of sexual hang up, which
is why he was so good at his own makeup. I mean,
there you go.
Millie could take some fucking hints, you know?
You want to jump into trivia?
Yeah, let's do it.
Vince Vaughn's fall during the auditorium chase was accidental and not scripted. Vaughn slipped on a fake plant that was knocked over and lost his balance, but continued to sing.
That's awesome. That's a good actor right there.
Yeah, didn't even break scene, just went with it. Catherine Newton was the first choice for Millie, but she originally declined the role. However, after speaking with Jason Blum about the project, she eventually changed her mind and agreed to do the movie.
Which is funny because I know this was in the Blumhouse at Universal Hollywood Horror Nights, but I completely forgot this was a Blumhouse film. And I'm like, does Blumhouse do horror comedies?
Oh, yeah, they were the ones behind Happy Death Day. They do them with Universal, though. So that's the reason that Universal and Blumhouse have such like a close connection, because I think Universal allows them to have like, or they agree to front part of the money, and then Blumhouse does the majority of it, and then they you know, whatever deal they've got worked on the back end. But like, I mean, there's a lot, like any time you watch a Blumhouse movie, there's a lot of times that they'll have Universal plastered across the front of it. I think Megan's that way right now.
Yeah.
And I can give Universal credit. They're keeping horror alive. I mean, they're one of the big companies that would. I mean, I can't imagine Disney would. I mean, given how fucking lame they are with things. They bought out Fox, so that ain't going to happen anymore. The Fox used to be the place where Aliens was produced.
That sucks.
And so it's really up to WB, who owns like Pennywise and some of the other like movies like that, and Universal, to keep making horror movies at the moment.
Yeah.
Director co-writer Christopher Landon proposed a crossover movie with Happy Death Day called Freaky Death Day. However, I didn't put this in the notes, but he has come out since then and said that he doesn't see this happening. He would like to see Millie meet Tree in a movie, but he doesn't see like actually continuing the events of this movie in another, you know, movie at all. So
yeah, I mean, technically they could have. Well, Vince Vaughn is dead. I mean, they could have him Jason Voorhees it out and come back and still be after Millie.
There's ways around it, because when we get to Happy Death Day, it talks about part 2 in particular is delving into parallel universes, and so they could go to a parallel universe where, like, you know, Millie died and, you know, he took over or something. You know, if they wanted to go that route.
Yeah, there's a lot of things they could do, I'm sure.
The bulk of the movie takes place on Friday the 13th. The film was released Friday, November 13th in 2020.
Awesome.
At the football game, Booker's last name of Strode is seen on his jersey. This is a reference to the slasher icon Laurie Strode from Halloween. In addition, Blumhouse previously made Halloween 2018.
The final girl.
Yep. It's kind of funny that... what was it? She called him Vince Vaughn playing Millie, called him Booker Hooker or something like that. The first title was Killer Body. It was changed to Freaky Friday the 13th and then to Freaky.
I mean, Freaky to me is not effective.
I feel like Freaky Friday the 13th is a slightly better title.
I like that better.
I don't know if Paramount would have like gave them shit over it, because, you know, Paramount does on the rights to Friday, so I don't know if they would have said anything about it.
Maybe, so that definitely could be. And Killer Body implies that we are going to see someone with a fucking amazing body, and no offense to Catherine, but she's got the body of a teenager, so that would have been awkward.
Yeah, that wouldn't have worked. The poem that Millie placed in Booker's locker, which she recites to him, is "I'm Not Yours" by Sarah Teasdale.
Okay.
The director says in the commentary that he couldn't get approval to use various search engines and products, but Grindr, of all things, was completely fine with using a version of their app in the film as long as the character using it was 18.
Oh, was he 18? Like, in general, the actor might have been 18, but was the character 18? He was in high school.
That's up for your imagination because they were supposed to be, they weren't even high school seniors, so I don't know how that was possible, but whatever.
That's a no. All right, Grindr.
Christopher Landon cited Fright Night from 85, The Blob in 88, Scream in 96, Scream 2, Urban Legend, Cherry Falls, and Jennifer's Body as inspirations for the movie. That's a big list of movies and a lot of good ones, by the way.
Yeah, but okay, question, where does The Blob come in?
I'm trying to think if it was a specific, is a kill or not. Like, there's the whole thing where in the Blob remake where they got like this guy with a motorcycle jacket that rides on a motorcycle who's like the love interest. So maybe like Millie's look was inspired by that guy or something because she had the leather jacket and everything. I don't know.
Yeah, I get it. She reminded me of Swan from Once Upon a Time. I told you about that show, which is Disney on crack, if you will. I don't know. I get the Fright Night only because you think of how the skies were kind of changing, opening up, because that's one of the few things I remember in Fright Night. So I get that. I get Scream. I get Urban Legends. Cherry Falls I haven't seen. And Jennifer's Body. I mean, her body was a vessel. Obviously, this is the case in this film.
Yeah. And then, Megan Fox, definitely. I mean, if they were call a movie Killer Body at the time she made Jennifer's Body, that would have worked for her.
Oh, absolutely.
Vince Vaughn told the stunt driver to actually hit him with a car when he was crossing the street early in the film. The director said Vaughn said he could take the hit, and he did.
Oh, my God. Fucking weirdo.
He wanted it to look good, so he got it. The Pitch Perfect 2 poster in Millie's room is actually the poster from Pitch Perfect, the first movie, but for some reason they put the text of Pitch Perfect 2 on it. That's a Universal film, so that's why they got by with using it.
Yeah, and I'm like, but why? Like, because I'm like, maybe they did that, and it's still the property no matter what. It's their property, needless to say. But I wonder if they did that and wonder if people would notice.
Maybe they did that as like another hint that maybe this is in an alternate universe or something. Like if he wanted to go back, he could say that was not the prime universe or something. Maybe that Millie switching is not like the same universe that Tree is like the hero in, and like they would crossed over that way if he would have did it the other way. I don't know. In the opening scene, the secret door in the back of the closet was actually a real thing in that house, totally unexpected whenever they scouted the location. That's cool.
That's awesome. That bitch should have stayed there.
That's my dumbest moment.
Yes.
I've never seen anybody who had a better hiding spot in any horror movie ever, and the bitch left it and died.
Yeah.
I mean, the lunch lady that runs away in the cafeteria scene is costume designer Whitney Ann Adams. The Blissfield Butcher's mask vaguely resembles a hockey mask, as a homage back to Jason. He later wears a full Aaron Rodgers mask, which is similar to Michael Myers wearing a William Shatner mask in Halloween and its sequels.
Oh, that was funny. That mask was pretty fucking legit. I mean, I know it looks like a mask, but at the same time, if you're not paying attention, it looks like a person. They had it tucked in perfectly. Yeah.
Yeah. As a good little scene. I like that scene where Millie as the butcher had to sit there and basically like ward off her mom trying to hit on her or whatever. That was a really weird scene to have to deal with. This is a variation, obviously, on Freaky Friday, a 1972 novel by Mary Rodgers that was made and remade several times by Disney. And the story, of course, always involves two people who swaps bodies as a result of some sort of magic. I believe Kirk Cameron did a version, didn't he, where he swapped bodies with his dad or something in one of them? I'm fairly sure that's a thing.
I think so, yeah.
Coral Kessler, who played by Katie Finneran, drinks swan song wine. Swan song is a phrase meaning the last thing someone does before death.
Oh my God, I was wondering about that. I was like, what is the relevance? Because they showed it multiple times that she's drinking swan song wine. And I'm like, what kind of two-buck chuck is this?
When Millie, possessed by the butcher, uses a large hook as a murder weapon, it is likely an homage to the Hook Killer and I Know What You Did Last Summer.
I enjoyed some of those movies. They were pretty cool.
Oh, when we get to those, they've got some major cheese in it.
Yeah.
but in a good way, like when you go back and watch it. Millie Kessler's last name would appear to be a reference to An American Werewolf in London, where the lead character's name is David Kessler.
Damn.
So a lot of homages to older horror movies. In the arcade, there's a Jurassic Park 1993 game, which is acknowledged in the end credits. Vince Vaughn appeared in the sequel, The Lost World.
Oh, my God.
And also, it's a Universal property. So
yeah.
There you go.
There we go.
During the film's audio commentary, director Christopher Landon mentions at the beginning that actor Mitchell Hoog, who plays Evan, resembles Zach from Saved by the Bell. It's funny because Hoog plays Zach's son Mac in the reboot. I've never watched the reboot because I heard things about it, and man, I mean, yeah, even if there's enough that can be said about Zach Morris and how he could have been a villain, the way of what the stuff that he did. But,
yeah,
I mean, they outright made him a villain in the new series, and I think that's going a little too far.
God.
The town square in the movie Freaky is in Covington, Georgia, which is the same town square in Dukes of Hazzard's first 5 episodes.
Wow.
Catherine Newton claimed that playing the role of the butcher caused her to have sore feet. She remarked that she wished she would have been able to play the part barefoot.
What?
The only thing I could think of is that she had those boots or whatever that she started wearing whenever she was the butcher, and like I guess they made her feet hurt. I don't know.
Okay, give her some Doc Martens. Those are some of the most comfortable boots.
I mean, she could have. I mean, I don't know why she couldn't have just argued, told like whoever the person was over the clothing, just that clothing department could have just told them, like, listen, these shoes don't fit me that well.
Yeah.
Can we get another pair of boots? I mean, that would have been that hard. They had the budget. I mean,
yeah.
Jenny and Sandra were both named after characters in Friday Part 2.
Oh, there we go.
In the opening sequence where the butcher kills his final victim with a spike on the wall, he lifts his head the same way that Michael Myers did in Halloween 1978.
I caught that. I was thinking Jason Voorhees for some reason, but yes, I caught the head tilt.
The death scene involving a bottle getting shoved down someone's throat has previously appeared in 2 other slasher movies, Sorority Row in 2009 and Into the Dark, Midnight Kiss from 2019 from the Hulu horror anthology series Into the Dark.
Gross.
This movie has cinematic parallels with the comedy of The Hot Chick.
Yes.
Both have young schoolgirl swapping bodies with an older criminal man while trying to prevent them from using their image for evil and reversing the change before the school dance.
Oh my God, The Hot Chick was fucking hilarious.
Death Holler Awards. What do you think? I mean, this one's tough. I mean, what do you think about Millie and the Butcher? I mean...
as a final girl, Vince Vaughn.
Yeah, sadly, I mean Vince Vaughn's the better final girl in the movie.
But in for Millie, that to me that makes her the best butcher too.
She's more effective as far as her kills.
Yes.
But I mean, he's scarier. So,
well, yeah.
So it's I don't know. It's a toss up. But
that's
yeah,
the
she's
best
way more
part though.
effective.
You don't expect it from her.
Yeah, like and she totally like the only person who halfway gives her shit over it is that teacher for woodshop, but that's only because he hates her guts anyway.
Oh yeah, which was funny. That was a great fight. So
the best kill in the movie, I got the cryo chamber. You're not going to top that in any other movie. I mean, there might be a scene like that in Jason X, maybe, but like. I mean, freezing somebody to death and then watch them fall out and then like just burst into pieces. I mean, that's pretty out there.
Yeah.
The woodshop table saw was pretty good too, though.
Yeah. For me, it was definitely going to be the bottle one. That one, bottle down the throat. I was like, at the beginning of the film, I was like, this is fucking amazing. Like, I can't get over that.
Like I said earlier, very visceral. Because I mean, there's a lot of strength behind that. Like the way that Vince Vaughn just like basically knocks that down his throat and then just snaps it, to cause him to die.
I loved it. There is no other for me.
Best scream in the movie is Jenny. I mean, whenever she's like, the last one left and she's seeing like her dead friends and all that, like her screams stand out quite a bit more than anybody else's in the movie. I don't think I don't think the final girl herself actually screams that much prior to. Like she's more about like, you know, just standing up to the butcher before he stabs her.
Yeah.
And I think that plays something into her as a character. She's just tired of being bullied at that point.
Yeah.
And that's why and it's not a bad thing. It's just, I mean, she's a different type of final girl even before she, you know, swaps bodies.
Yeah.
Best boobs is not applicable because there is none that's shown in this movie.
Not even Vince Vaughn, so you know.
Yeah, I don't even know. They kind of show him from just like the neck up whenever he gets out of the shower scene, so you don't even get the moobs, as it were.
Yeah.
How annoying is Doom Prophet? You don't really have one. Evan, you know, whenever he's telling them about the story of the Blissfield Butcher, you know, playing that same characters like Chad did in the in Tucker and Dale, but that's not really a Doom Prophet necessarily.
Yeah.
I mean, can you think of anybody else that would have been the Doom Prophet in this? I mean, nobody else really seems to care or know anything about the Butcher, it seems like.
Well, no, because I guess the mom was trying to get her daughter to not go to prom because of the sexual, you know, activity more than anything, not so much the Blissfield Butcher. So I guess not.
Her sister maybe a little bit, but she wasn't really a Doom Prophet. She was just mainly like, you know,
she's a cop.
Just playing just a cop,
yeah.
You know, and a protective bigger sister. I mean, you know, let's see, best side character. I mean, I don't really know. I mean, I picked Josh just because he has some of the better lines in the movie, but I don't really, there's nobody else that really stands out as a good side character to me.
I would have to go with Josh too. I think that, yes, we got your token gay guy, if you will.
Yeah.
You know,
very token, you know, flamboyant.
He is flamboyant, but he didn't overact. That's how they are, you know? I know enough gay guys to know. I mean, I hate to say it, it's the basic gay guy, you know, and everything. But he was funny. He delivered his lines very well. He was a thinker. I know most of them to be that way. So, you know, plotting out the next move, trying to keep it calm somewhat to a degree, you know, even though that they're dramatic for the most part. So I don't know. I think he was awesome.
Yeah, I mean, he delivered, like I said, he was the best comic relief in the movie. I mean, so I give him credit for that, but he almost gets an honorary Franklin Award, almost, because there's times where he gets a little cringe with some of the stuff. You know, he goes there, he just kind of skirts it. So I'm not going to completely give him the Franklin Award, but like he's bordering on it at times.
Yeah.
And then the dumbest moment we've already discussed, Jenny leaving that secret door. Nobody in the history of horror movies has ever had a better hiding place, ever.
Okay, here's my dumb explanation to explain it away, is that it obviously leads to a room, so I wonder if it was another easily accessible room. Like, if it was just a room behind them, it would make sense that she thought I should run in the opposite direction because he went around the corner, and he might be able to access that room very easily. We don't know that, though. If it was a hidden room, then bitch, stay wherever the fuck you are, you know? Was there no phone in there? Could you not call the cops?
Well, her parents were almost there. Now, she might have been unfortunate enough to witness her parents getting killed by the butcher if she'd been still around and he was waiting on her to come out.
Yeah.
But it just depends. Like I said, she had a really good hiding place.
Yeah.
And like it just, where, like, when we talk about, like, whenever I mention Intruder, there's a scene in the movie where the final girl in that is like, she's kind of, because of the way that the store's set up, she's like hid herself behind like a couple of these like shelving units that are like, that she's like scooted up against each other, so that, like, I mean, she's kind of just like, you know, in the same situation Jenny's in. Her problem is, though, is that there's like some bottles that have been knocked over near her, and like she's got like this nosebleed perpetually throughout the movie. And like the blood starts running down and it like seeps out through the stuff that's like spilled, and like the killer sees the blood coming out. So that's how he knows where she's at.
Yeah.
And there's a real good scene where Bill's walking up, and it's like, you know, just like Spiegel done, where he films through stuff. He's got like this green bottle, and you just see like a distorted version of like Bill's face as he's like staring in, trying to see if he can find her. But her, that little spot between those shelving units was like nowhere near as secure as that extra door. So
yeah.
I don't know.
We'll never know. She's dead.
and she wasn't impaled by the spear. She was actually like just flung up on the spear, which is kind of a cool kill in its own way.
That was awesome.
Anything else you want to say about Freaky before we close this one up?
This one surprised me. I know you've been trying to get me to watch this forever. And I'd been through the haunted house or the Halloween Horror Nights home, and I'm gonna say I didn't watch the movie before I went through it, so I was just going to this like, oh, here's a Blumhouse haunted house. Hopefully it's good. It was good in, when I was experiencing that at Universal, and having watched it now, knowing they did an amazing job at Universal bringing this house to life.
Yeah, of the two houses, or the two parts of that house, I liked it way better than what's the other one? Black Phone.
Yeah, Black Phone.
Because Black Phone, when you can't they didn't vary the scenes up dramatically in this either, but like whenever you had this just like one setting and you have one character and it just has to repeat with like different stuff, that gets a little samey. Whereas in this one, at least they showed the table saw scene, which was great. And then there's a scene where like an actress who was being like Millie like pops out like from behind like a locker as you're walking through. That was a pretty cool scene. So I enjoyed it way better of the two parts of the Blumhouse from the last HHN.
Yeah, so, but that being said, this was pretty fucking enjoyable. I don't know why I wasn't expecting much from it when you had first told me about it. I was like, oh, okay, that sounds cool. But Vince Vaughn, like I said, he is definitely the princess of the film, and he really brings it.
We can't leave the movie, though, without talking about that cringy scene where he kisses the younger boy.
Oh, my God.
No matter how many times I've watched it, like I said, I've learned to appreciate more and more about Catherine Newton's performance in the movie. But like the more I watch it, the more I hate that scene. Anytime when they're in the back of that car, I'm just like, no, just skip this.
Yeah. When was this film made?
2020.
Okay, so...
Or it was released in 2020. I don't know when it was filmed.
Okay. Ironically, that kid was 23 years old, so well above the age of consent. But he looks so young. He looks like a kid, you know?
And Vince Vaughn, being the beast that he is, makes it even worse.
That was insane. Poor kid. I'm sure it was an honor for him to kiss Vince Vaughn.
I guess I don't know. That scene's very hard to just to watch, and I can't. It's bad for me to watch that scene as watching like a fingernail break off, and that's like one of my biggest things I hate seeing in a movie. So.
Yeah, that was horrible. I was like, this is not fucking happening. So. Whatever, it happened. They did it, and I guess you would say it's effective. It probably got everybody all fucking curled into like a. Ugh.
Well, it's not just the fact that it's like two guys. It's not that. You already established in that movie the Blissfield Butcher like smelled like hot dog water prior to, like Millie taking a bath with him. He has no dental hygiene, so can you imagine? That's one extra step that my mind goes to. I'm like, you're kissing a dude that's probably got meth mouth.
Clearly, he's gotten his dong sucked for drugs before, so he's dabbling in them.
There's that whole thing too. So
oh my God. Here's what it is. Vince Vaughn has swagger, so. And he gave Millie the confidence she needed. She's very charismatic. So obviously that's what made it happen. It's just so fucking weird. It's
best just to leave it alone. But
very gay.
My opinions on the movie is I enjoy it more now. Like when I first watched it, I was kind of let down just because it's by the same director as Happy Death Day. And that's one of my favorite horror comedies to come out. So it's a bit of a letdown from that, but the more I went back and watched it, it's grown on me. So I appreciate things about it, and the more I watch it, there's more and more things that I appreciated, but it's more of a slower burn. Like, Tucker and Dale's like an instant hit, whereas this one's like, okay, it started out at like a 3, and now it moved up to 3.5. It's not quite at a 4 yet, but it's, like a 3.8 for me or something. Yeah. It's edging its way up there, but...
Yeah, it is a good movie. I enjoyed both of these films.
Plugs. We've got, was it Lean Into It? Is that the name of it?
Lean Into It. That's what the guys are going with. Which I have named on Facebook, Lean Into It, the podcast formerly known as Blue Collar BS. Just to be an asshole, and also to make sure people know, hey, reference, this is still Blue Collar BS. I believe when it comes to platforms of listening, podcast platforms, they are still Blue Collar BS. I don't think they've changed that yet, and I don't know that they're going to. So if you're already following them, you're gonna, when they start posting them on there, that's where you're gonna get your shows still. So whether you're listening to iTunes, Google, Spotify, whatever, I believe it's still Blue Collar BS. But when you go onto Facebook, if you're following Lean Into It podcast, and that's just the guys, kind of the chimps, if you will, just kind of dicking around, talking about random subjects that come up to mind. They don't really have an agenda in terms of what's going to be discussed each show. I know they grab a couple of things that they've seen throughout the week, and they might discuss that. Other than that, they just bring up random shit and flow with it. So it's a really off-the-cuff kind of podcast, whereas you and I are a little bit more prepared. You know, there's material we have to watch at minimum, and then you actually put show notes together, which is fucking amazing. So there's that.
I just can't do everything off the cuff. I can't remember enough about. I mean, I could sit there and just kind of go off things about the movie, which we kind of do anyways when we're doing the review. But like, I like to have like the basics about it so I can reference back if nothing else.
Oh, absolutely.
I just can't,
I can't either. Sometimes stuff comes up. And I'm just like, okay, if somebody brings up something, if I know about it, and then I'm also a Googler. So obviously you guys know I will put Google up in the middle of a show, no shame, and start researching something I don't know or want to know more about. So there's that. Hot Mess Express, I don't know how we're going to accomplish that. Maybe not particularly a good time, especially with what Candy has recently. She's fine, but her dating life took a sad turn in terms of actually getting into a relationship and that not going well. So, but we're planning a girls' trip in May. We wanted to give us enough time to recover financially from anything. So we're going to go to my not so favorite place in the world, Disneyland. She's got a season pass. Her mom got her one. And I'm going to set us up kind of like I did for Avi and I when we went to Vegas. I'm going to every night, we're going to do a recap of the bullshit that happened, the random shit that we did. So that'll be something for sure coming out in the future, obviously. In the meantime, I don't know that we're going to be getting in the studio anytime soon. So
nothing wrong with that. I mean, kind of ease back into the whole thing. And I mean, lean into it time to kind of get their footing a little bit,
let them get reestablished. I mean, it's the same bullshit. It's pretty funny. They've just fallen right back into it, which is perfect. So hopefully that goes a little bit better. I mean, and for anyone who remembers or was listening, if you guys listened to both of our shows, they got booted from YouTube for sexually explicit content, which was very surprising to me because you can actually see, from what I can tell, from what I've searched, I've done it myself, you can find porn. Actual porn, you can actually see bits and pieces on YouTube. And I'm like, okie dokie, you know?
There's way worse.
Exactly. Yeah. So I don't know. And in terms of Death Holler, whenever I do post to YouTube, which I do need to get back to doing that, I do mention that our show has, foul language, things like that. So that it's aimed more at an older audience. And whenever I post any of I think I downloaded the wrong movies, I make sure it's for 18 and over only. So when you won't be able to find it at all if you're not logged into your account for YouTube. And if you're not 18, you're not going to be able to see it. So I am very careful about that. So I don't know if that's something that has protected us. I'm sure it has. So
yeah, I'm sure that it's like having flagged will go a long way in there because they've got a lot of rules against saying the F word apparently. Now.
Wow.
Like, I mean,
we're
if
fucked.
you're doing a live stream and you drop the F bomb and like it might be how many times you say it or how soon into the live stream you say it, but they'll demonetize you for doing it.
Oh, well, thankfully we don't have monetization, so they can fuck off.
Yeah, they can fuck off.
Fuck right the fuck off. We're not live either, so we have to. I need to figure that out. I'm working on it. Look, I just got a new laptop. Okay, so we're moving on up in the editing world.
Well, with that, everybody, peace be with you
And with your spirit.